Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow on 88.3 FM WXOU, Auburn Hills, Michigan, Oakland University, and all your wonderful station identification features. I'm your man, Giovanni Mosher, your host of the GioMoShow and sports media director here at WXOU. And the GioMoShow is your home for all Oakland University athletics and beyond on 88.3 FM. Don't forget to follow WXOU on our MAB award-winning social media platforms, that being Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Don't forget to follow me as well while you are at it. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. GioMoShow has its own Instagram page as well, so give it a follow at the GioMoShow. And we are trying once again to get this YouTube live stream rolling here. However, the camera once again is giving me some difficulties, but at least the camera, or at least the microphone, is getting through. So I got a great show for you guys today. You kind of know the rhythm of the show here on the GioMoShow. We're going to go through a season review here now that Oakland sports are done as far as the new stuff goes. But let's go back to some of the old stuff. Let's go back to some previous seasons here. And the second season that we're going to be covering, because last week was volleyball, we're going to be covering women's soccer. Once we get through that, we're going to get to your USPBL weekly update. My Frogs are in a little bit of trouble here, but that's okay. We'll get through it. There's a lot of season left to play. And coming up for the second half of the show will be the premiere of a very special interview. The GioMoShow travels into the world of club sports with a great conversation between me and the person who is perfect for the job, that being Kyle Reese. Kyle Reese runs the club and Recwell Sports at the Oakland's University Recreation and Well-Being. He runs all that stuff, so we get a great conversation with him coming up at around 6:30, so stick around for that. Before we get back to the show, let me tell you about Bart's Pizza. Bart Basilico reinvented his father's pizzeria business by putting it on wheels. I'm talking a pizza food truck, baby. Bart and his wife Lauren travel all around Metro Detroit, cooking up homemade pies made fresh to order in their 4-layered pizza oven on wheels. You can find them on their website at eatbartspizza.com and Facebook and Instagram as well at Bart's Pizza. His last name is literally Basil, so you know he knows what he's doing. Make sure to grab a cannoli as well while you're there. Bart's Pizza, it's too good. So we're just going to keep rolling here despite the camera difficulties for the YouTube live stream. For those of you who have tuned in, thank you very much. Don't forget to get involved in the live chat thread. I'll be reading and listening to your wonderful messages. Get involved in the show. It'll be a conversation rather than just hearing me talk. But that's kind of what radio is, isn't it? So getting to women's soccer, let's go over the season review here. What did those girls do in 2022? Ooh, that rhymed. So let's go back a little bit further. Let's go to last season. Last season, the Golden Grizzlies finished with a season record of 11-9-1 and a conference record of 9-1-1. A very impressive performance for that season, but that landed them only in second place in terms of the Horizon League tournament placements, as Milwaukee went undefeated in the Horizon League and had one loss on the entire season. So it's kind of, not much else you could do there. They were undefeated. But that still awarded them a first-round bye in the Horizon League tournament, where in the semifinals round they faced Northern Kentucky, beating them 3-1 to advance to the championship game. In that championship game, however, they faced the undefeated Panthers, and they stayed undefeated as they made their way to the 2021 Horizon League Championship, beating the Grizzlies 2-0. So that brings up this 2022 season. I kind of give you the background. Let's give you the now. So for this one, I'm going to make it a little bit different here. So normally, in my notes, in my preparation, I go through, as best I can, give you the detail, give you the storyline. But if you're on GoldenGrizzlies.com, then you know that some of the stories are already written. So David Gibson, who's a sports information director for women's soccer as well as other sports, including men's basketball, swim and dive, etc., etc. He's got a lot of responsibilities at Golden Grizzlies Athletics. So for this season and this season review, let me give you the headlines for each game. So starting off, we got a couple exhibition games this season. No article write-up on that one. However, in those exhibition games against Eastern Michigan at home, and then away at Bowling Green. The Grizzlies split the two games, winning against Eastern Michigan 3-0, and then losing to Bowling Green 0-1. Bringing them to the first official game of the season against DePaul at DePaul. The headline reads, Frazier scores through defenders in a 1-0 season opening win. That Frazier being Jana Frazier of the Golden Grizzlies was able to get the goal in the second half of the game to give them their first win. They then continue their travels into Kent State with the headline reading, Oakland posts a shutout win over the Golden Flashes as they beat them 2-0 to advance to a 2-0 record so far. They then return home to face Akron, the Zips. I think they're the Zips. The Akron Zips come to Rochester to face Oakland on the Oakland soccer field. That game ended in a tie 1-1. Headline for this. 1 second, the computer's acting up. Headline for this one. Sabaw scores equalizer in a rainy home opener. That being Alexa Sabaw of the Golden Grizzlies. Continuing in that homestand there, we're still in a little bit of the beginning of August. Now August 28th. Oakland hosted Northwestern in a game that ended 0-0. Headline reading, Oakland battles to a draw versus Northwestern. I know some of these aren't like super theatrical or anything, but I said I was going to read them. So take notice so far. Oakland has not lost a game so far in the regular season up to this point. And we're into September 1st. They're going away at Toledo, where they beat the Rockets 4-1. Headline reading, Women's soccer scoring frenzy lifts the Golden Grizzlies over the Rockets. So still without a loss this season. I know you got a couple ties in there, but that just kind of happens given the sport of soccer, of course. We move then to September 4th. That's Sunday, where Oakland experienced their first loss of the season to Wake Forest. Game ending in a 1-0 score for Wake Forest. Headline reading, Oakland drops a nail-biter against Wake Forest. Then they're back on the road. September 8th, they go to Michigan State, where they were able to hold on in a 0-0 tie game. Headline reading, Oakland spares no goals to Spartans in East Lansing. They continue their Michigan travels as they make their way west to Western Michigan on Sunday, September 11th, where they tied the Broncos 1-1. And there's going to be a few ties here so far coming up. So the Western Michigan game was the final one of the non-conference season. Now we get into some Horizon League games. Horizon League opener was at home against Youngstown State, where the Grizzlies tied 1-1. Headline reading, Oakland settles with a tie to Youngstown State, as they did. Then they travel to Green Bay, September 18th, tying with the Phoenix 0-0. Oakland adds another tie to conference record against Green Bay, reads the headline. They then come back to face Purdue Fort Wayne. The Mastodons come to town, this one being a loss 2-1 against the Mastodons, and the headline simply reading, Oakland falls to Purdue Fort Wayne. Their next game, now we're getting into the month of October 1st, against IUPUI at IUPUI, tying 0-0. Oakland holds the Jaguars to a scoreless tie, reads the headline. We go to Cleveland State at Cleveland State. 1-0 win for the Grizzlies. Headline reading, Oakland dominates in convincing Horizon League women's soccer win. The winning goal being scored by Sophie Wisely. Wisely. I feel like Wisely is the right pronunciation. Then they come back home to face Robert Morris. The Colonials get 3 goals scored on them as Oakland wins it 3-0. Headline reading, back-to-back Horizon League women's soccer wins after tonight's game with Robert Morris. And one other home game being played on October 30th against Northern Kentucky was another win for the Grizzlies, 1-0. Headline readings, dominating victory adds another Horizon League women's soccer win to 3-game streak. Coming into another bit of a homestand here. They make their way to Wright State University to face the Raiders, where they were able to get another 3-point win in their Horizon League record, but this one was not a shutout. Score was 3-1. The headline reads, Oakland secures 4th consecutive Horizon League women's soccer win. They've been doing pretty hot this part of the season. Remember, they only lost a single Horizon League game all season long. They have, obviously, with a few ties in there, but they only had a single loss in the Horizon League record. Actually, excuse me. Oh, I won't spoil the final score yet. Hold on. I'm getting confused. I'm just getting a little brain fart here. Going back to it. Oakland travels to Milwaukee to face the Panthers, who have done very well for themselves last season, and hand Oakland a loss 1-0. Headline simply reading, Oakland soccer falls to Milwaukee. They move on to their final couple home games here. On Senior Day was the rivalry game against Detroit Mercy for another edition of the Metro Series, and the Grizzlies dealt them a 4-piece, scoring 3 in the first half and 1 in the second half for a 4-0 win against the Titans. Headline reads, Oakland secures strong last win of the regular season on Senior Day. And that's going to bring them, all that added up, all the games that I have described to you, add up to a 5-2-3 conference record for the Golden Grizzlies and an overall record of 8-4-7. This will bring them to the Horizon League tournament, where they fell in their first game to the IUPUI Jaguars, 0-2, and ending their season on October 30th. Not getting too far in the Horizon League tournament sure is a shame, but it was a pretty good season overall. A little bit of a step down from last season, admittingly. However, not so much so that they cannot come back with an even better season coming up in 2023 this fall. WXOU and me and my team here going to be looking forward to covering some of them and some of their games live on WXOU or otherwise on either the GioMoShow or other potential sports podcasts coming up. A little bit of an Easter egg there for next athletic seasons.
Yo, I'm Jake Masucci from Jake's Takes. I wanted to talk a little bit about my show on my guy Giovanni's own show. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about Jake's Takes. I'm a student manager at Oakland University, and I kind of just talk all things sports. I talk a lot about the NBA, talk a little college basketball. We did a lot of March Madness stuff recently. We talked about NBA playoffs, NFL playoffs, talked a lot about the NFL draft. It's basically just an all things sports show. I really think you guys would enjoy it. And shout out to my guy Giovanni. Love him. But please check out Jake's Takes. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and then it's also available on its own YouTube channel. So please check out Jake's Takes, but please continue enjoying Giovanni's show.
So stay tuned for all of that. And that's going to bring us to our USPBL update here on the GioMoShow, shifting away from Oakland sports and getting to a little more of the professional realm. We're going to the USPBL. We're traveling to Jimmy John's Field, at least figuratively. We're going to be talking about the last week that was played at Jimmy John's Field. We got games from June 8th to yesterday, June 14th. I'm going to take you all through them. So, the first game of that week, June 8th, it was the Beavers and the Mammoths. The Beavers handed a 9-5 win to the Mammoths. So I'll take you through it a little bit here. Mammoths, they started the scoring with an RBI single in the first inning to get the lead going. But then the Beavers gave it right back in the third inning with a single run. And then the fourth inning is when things got a little bit crazy. Fourth inning was 4 runs by the Woolly Mammoths and then 2 by the Beavers. So the game's still a little bit close here. Score is now 5-3 after the fourth inning. We get into the sixth inning. The Beavers add on another run to make the score 5-4 at this time. So the Mammoths are holding on to that lead that they had in the beginning of the game here, aided by that 4-run inning in the fourth. And then things just start to slip away. In the fifth inning, the Beavers tack on not 1, 2, 3, or 4. They add on 5 runs in the eighth inning to vault themselves over the Mammoths for a late comeback, beating the Mammoths 9-5. Some of the standout hitters for the Beavers were Malik Bolin, who went 2 for 4 with 2 runs and an RBI. We We got Tremaine Spears, who went 1 for 2 with a run and 2 RBIs, and Ben Wilcoxon, who went 2 for 4, 1 run and 1 RBI. Moving on to the next game, the Mammoths play once again, this time against the Unicorns, in a game that ended in a 5-1 victory over the Unicorns, which I'm a big fan of. Unicorns get way too much love, and I see them as a little bit of the Patriots of the USPBL. They just keep winning and winning, and it's very frustrating. I'm much more of an underdog kind of guy. That's why I love my Hoppers. But in this game against the Mammoths and Unicorns, Mammoths, they started off strong. They washed that bad taste out of their mouth from the Beavers by going up 2-0 after the first inning before the Utica Unicorns scored a single run in the second to make it now 2-1, going all the way to the 7th inning. The scores were frozen after the second inning. And then the Woolly Mammoths, with a 2-1 lead, add on 3 more runs in the 7th inning to make that final score of 5-1. Some standout hitters for the Mammoths were Ward Hacklin, who went 1 for 4 with a run and excuse me, these baseball stats can be quite the tongue twister. So Ward Hacklin went 1 for 4 and a single run scored. Got Burl Dixon, he went 2 for 4 with a run. And then Francis Florentino, probably the best hitter in the USPBL, went 2 for 5 with 2 runs and 2 RBIs. A very productive day for Florentino. Moving on now to a doubleheader. The Saturday doubleheader for this past week was between the Hoppers and the Beavers. Game 1 did not have the most action. However, it was a shutout win for the Hoppers against the Beavers. They were able to win Game 1 3-0, just how I like it. Standout hitters in Game 1 were Bryant Schallenbarger, who went 2 for 3 with 2 runs and an RBI, and Chris Iazetta went 1 for 2 with an RBI. And then Game 2, a lot more fireworks happening at this one, although the fireworks are for Fridays, not Saturdays. But for this game here, in Game 2, Beavers, they started off the scoring with a single run in the second inning. But then the Diamond Hoppers, they pour on not 1, not 2, 3, 4, or 5. They give 6 runs to the Beavers in the third inning. But the Beavers were not phased. They scored 3 runs after that in the third inning to make the score now 4-6. Keep it a bit of a close game here. And then the Beavers did what they did against the Mammoths, where they laid on another 5 runs towards the end of the game. That being in the 4th inning, as the doubleheaders are played in only 6 innings. They laid on 5 runs in the 4th inning to vault themselves over the Hoppers for a 9-6 win in Game 2. So the Hoppers and the Beavers, they split the game. They split the games of the doubleheader. I'm not sure what's going on with the Beavers, but they just love getting for this weekend. They just love getting the 5 runs towards the end of the game for a big comeback. Some standout hitters for the Beavers were Chris Davis, who went 1 for 3 with 2 runs and an RBI. You got J.D. Stubbs, who went 1 for 2 with 2 runs and an RBI. And then you got Malik Bolin once again going 2 for 2 with 2 runs and 4 RBIs. So a very productive game for the Beavers. And that's going to bring us to the next matchup, that being the Unicorns and the Mammoths. This time, it was the Utica Unicorns that get the best of the Mammoths, getting their revenge for earlier in that week, as the Unicorns were able to win 4-3. It's a tight one. Started off with the Woolly Mammoths getting a single run in the first inning, and then Utica Unicorns getting the lead in the third with another 2 runs. Score now 2-1. Unicorns lead. Mammoths tie the game in the 5th. Then the Unicorns get another one in the 6th. So we're going back and forth here. And we're at a 3-2 score going into the 8th inning, where the Unicorns tacked on one more, 4-2. And then in the last stand, and the last chance the Mammoths had to win the game at the bottom of the 9th, they came up 1 run short. They got a single one, but it was not enough to extend the game into overtime for the equalizer. And that leaves the Utica Unicorns victorious 4-3. And then one of the non-public games played at Jimmy John's Field, as not every game is displayed and is open to the public. They got a few private games that they play, and this one was played just yesterday, Wednesday. And this one went to sudden death. Of course, the sudden death one is not open to the public. But I'll take you through this game here. It was punches, it was haymakers being thrown back and forth all game long, which you would expect for something going into sudden death. But it started off with the Beavers laying on 3 runs on the top of the second inning, and then another 2 in the fourth to go up 5-0. Mammoths make it now 5-4 as they get 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Very successful inning for them. 6th inning, the Beavers scored another 2 to keep them at arm's distance. Then the Mammoths did it again, right back at them in the following inning. 7th inning, the Mammoths got 2. And then the 9th inning, the deciding inning, Beavers scored 1, but the Mammoths got just enough to send this thing into sudden death as they got 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th. And this one went to the Mammoths as they were able to win on defense to prevent the Beavers from scoring. So the Mammoths become victorious. And honestly, is a pretty successful weekend. They went I believe they went 2-3 and only 1 run shy against the Unicorns. So I would say it's a very successful weekend for the Mammoths. So moving on to, well, that's all the games here, but looking forward to this weekend as we got the Diamond Hoppers and Unicorns tonight at 7:05 right after the JoMo Show. We're going to have a doubleheader between the Unicorns and the Beavers on Saturday. Or excuse me, Friday. It's going to be a single game. And then the doubleheader will be between the Mammoths and the Hoppers on the 17th. And you can catch me at Jimmy John's Field for that game as well. So if you're there, come by and say hi. And also get ready for some bonus content here on the JoMo Show. So a little bit of background on what I've been doing this summer. So I got a gig at Stellantis, the Chrysler Tech Center just down the street from Oakland University. And what they have a little corporate event where they have a track meet between Stellantis, Ford, and GM. So it's kind of a big 3 track meet. They call it the Corporate Cup Relays. And, I got that little bit of a competitive itch in me. I used to run track back in the day. So I decided to return to glory. I'm going to be competing in the long jump and high jump as well as the mile run. But the way the events are scheduled, that is basically the first event and the last event. So during that all-day event, we're going to have a little bonus content for you guys. Not going to be about me, although I know you guys are curious about how I'm going to be doing. I'll give you a little bit of that, but get ready for a bonus interview. So not only am I going to be competing in this event, but my classmate and dear friend of mine, Justin Lasecki, is going to be at that track meet doing the 5K as well as the mile, as he is a proud member of the OU running club team. Remember I mentioned that we're going to have Kyle Reese here from Club Sports, do an interview or play the interview on the JoMo Show here. Well, we're going to have another Club Sports interview for you to kind of get the ball rolling in this Club Sports world. So we're going to be talking to Justin during the meet. Going to ask him how his 5K was. Going to ask him what he's doing to prepare for the mile run, and a little bit on his background in the running club community. So get ready for that. That's going to be on Saturday, so probably by Sunday that stuff should be coming out for you guys. So definitely get ready for that. I'm very nervous for it. I haven't competed in a while, but we're going to do just fine. And I want to cover one more point here while I have the time. And we got a little bit of time here before Kyle Reese joins us on the JoMo Show here via pre-recorded interview that's going to be posted in just a few minutes here. You can catch that interview on the JoMo Show YouTube channel as well as the Spotify channel, as you know, where the rest of my JoMo Show can be found, YouTube and Spotify, at your own convenience. But before we get into all of that, I want to talk about, obviously, the NBA Finals happened. Denver Nuggets are NBA champions. We also have some news in the Pistons that Monty Williams is the head coach. Pistons paid the money necessary to get him, to get the guy they want. I'm happy about it, but the reason I bring them up both at once is there's a common thread between those, how should I word this? Between the stars of those stories. You got Nikola Jokic and you got Monty Williams, both of whom are very, very mild-mannered folks. They don't get very excited in the media. They don't do anything too wild. They're not the most eye-catching, attention-grabbing, exciting, figures in the NBA. They're much more mild-mannered, much more stoic to themselves, calm, cool, and collected. And I find that very interesting, as it kind of brings to light that not everybody has that kind of exciting and entertaining side to them. It's just not something that comes with everybody. A lot of athletes, they kind of get up in the camera. They'll film. They'll kind of film stuff. They'll do commercials. They'll be the rah guys. But you got the stars of the Nuggets. You got the star coach of the Pistons, and they're not very marketable. They're not very exciting to watch and to listen to, despite what they're able to do on the court. I find that very interesting. It's a shame that it has to be that way. Nothing against them, but it's a shame that you can't really market them as well. They're not grabbing attention as well. And for such a big star, especially like Nikola Jokic, who had a monster season, had back-to-back MVPs, and then back-to-back MVPs last year, this year getting finals MVP, and he's not really, doesn't seem too excited about it, at least outwardly. He's at the press conference. He's like, when's the parade? Oh, man, it's on Thursday. I want to go home. As a Nuggets fan, or if I was a Nuggets fan, I feel like I would be a little bit disappointed, even though they just won the NBA championship, their first one in franchise history, even their first finals trip in franchise history. But you got to think, can't you act a little more excited? As a fan, you wanted to celebrate with the athletes. Obviously, the rest of the team is celebrating, but Jokic is your guy. You just kind of wish that he was a little more outwardly excited about it. But he wants to go home to his horse farm, which I think is awesome, obviously. But that's who he is, and it kind of digs down to athletes as the person, not as much as the media figure. So there's some times where you just have to be reminded of that. Monty Williams is the same way, and I get Monty Williams has got a lot of family stuff going on, so maybe he's a little bit bummed out when he's on the radio doing interviews or doing that kind of stuff. But that's kind of his demeanor anyway. It's a shame that a position as popular as as the head coach of a team and as popular as the star, the best player in the league, they don't give you much in the media. It's just how they are. And you got to understand that these are people too. Not everyone likes media. But we like media here on WXOU. And that's going to bring us to our 6:30 mark. Coming up, we're going to give you finally that Kyle Reese interview from University Recreation and Wellbeing. The sports and recreation program coordinator comes onto the GioMoShow for a fantastic conversation. You can catch it later on YouTube and Spotify, or you can stay tuned and listen to it after the break here on the GioMoShow, 88.3 FM, WXOU.